So this is the bike that I shall be using to do my adventures here and there. So I don't know a lot about the stats of this bike. It's not a comprehensive review of the bike. So it comes with a 14-liter tank and a fuel efficiency of about 26 to 30 kilometers per liter, depending on how you ride. It comes with the 3 boxes, which I talked about in my earlier video. The panniers and the top box, which, like I said, is quite useful for carrying luggage and all that. So as you can see, it's a chain drive, which tends to be a common mode of propulsion for most motorcycles. It's very rare to find the shaft driven bikes or the belt driven bikes. So it comes with the disc brakes, both the front and aft disc brakes. As you can see, some of the additional features are the windshield, auxiliary lights, and this which controls the hazards, as because this bike does not come with natural hazard lights. These actually do light up when you're signaling, which becomes very useful when it comes to improving visibility. You just put on your hazards and both lights will work. So before I explain my reasons, there's just one more thing one more additional feature that I'd forgotten to mention, which is I added a phone mount that I can use to hold my phone, which I tend to use while doing my trips, so for Google Maps and all that. So it easily shows me the path that I need to take while doing my adventures. This is when I'm going to new places which I've never been to. So now to answer the question why I chose to join the motorcycling community and why I chose the Tekken 250 specifically. So there are a couple of reasons as to why I decided to ride. First of all, I've been driving for about 9 years or so, up to this particular point, and I've always been comfortable driving, and I always thought that motorcycling is just a bit too dangerous for me. So I never really tried to join the community while I started driving. But then things changed, and eventually I was forced into joining the motorcycling community because the first thing that I was really looking for was something that reduces my fuel costs going to and from work. So at this, by the time I joined the community, fuel prices were actually on the rise, and it had actually reached a peak right around the point where I started riding, and it seemed pretty it actually seemed like a pretty good idea to join the riding community, simply because I could easily save on fuel. Fuel costs were reduced by half or more just because of riding a motorcycle. The other reason is that it's also cheap to maintain a motorcycle. Well, depending on your choices of mechanics, and also the fact that you can easily choose to maintain the motorcycle yourself, way easier than an actual motor vehicle. It's easier to break down a motorcycle into its various parts and just check all the features and ensure that everything is working as intended. And it's actually a good idea for new motorcycle riders to actually get into understanding the motorcycle that you have, even before you do any upgrades. At least by the time you upgrade, you should be able to maintain their current motorcycle without having to go to a mechanic, you know. So some of the secondary reasons, which I mean they weren't really a factor to me, was just riding a motorcycle helps during traffic situations. So you can, because of the whole idea of lane splitting, which is where you ride in between vehicles, in between the two lanes of vehicles. It actually does help during traffic situations, as you can get to your destinations much quicker than a car. And then also just the fact that a motorcycle is very versatile. It can go anywhere you want. And you see, especially with the Tekken 250, since it's designed to also do a bit of off-roading, so it's quite a comfortable ride, despite the terrain you have. So that's a reason as to why I chose to join the motorcycling community. And why in specific the Tekken 250? I'm being very honest, I didn't know a lot of motorcycles at the time. So I was introduced to Nairobi Power Bikes, who sell the Tekken 250 with other motorcycles. And the Tekken 250 is what stood out to me, simply because of the fact that it's a bike that I could literally use as a commuter motorcycle, and I can use to do adventures. I found that it resonated with me a lot more than the other bikes that they were selling at the time. Then, like I said, those 3 boxes, I wanted a bike that is naturally designed to carry the 3 boxes. Not that you have to go and look for a mechanic to fabricate some metallic or some frame so that you're able to hold those boxes. But I wanted one that is actually designed to carry those 3 boxes, because you tend to have less of an issue of wear and tear because it's actually designed for the motorcycle. The Tekken 250 is a Chinese bike, and most Chinese bikes tend to be much cheaper than their Japanese counterparts, Japanese and European counterparts. So it's quite an affordable bike, and yet it gives you a whole range of facilities that an equivalently priced European or Japanese motorcycle would not give you. And another thing is that, remember in my previous video I said that from my research that a 250cc bike tends to be around the maximum range that a new rider should be riding. So I wanted that. I wanted to be among the new rider category, but among the higher cc range. So, like I said, I mean, not everyone chooses to start with the 250cc. Others start with the 300s, the 400s, and so. But according to the recommendations that I saw online, that seemed to work, and I didn't want a smaller bike that was, weaker, and yet I could get 250cc at least. The other thing that I liked about this Tekken 250 is actually the tubeless tires that this particular version comes with. Remember I said that there's an off-road version of this motorcycle, which would have actually been much better for me since I like doing adventures and all that. But the biggest turn-off with that one was that the tires were they actually had tubes. And riding a bicycle for many years, I've always known that bicycles, because bicycles had tubes in their tires, And in the way there are always so many things that could puncture a tire on the road. Just parts that are falling off vehicles, and people who try to sabotage other motorists. Once a tube is punctured, the tire immediately loses pressure and you immediately have a puncture. But the good thing with a tubeless tire is that whatever item pierces the tire, it will actually stick to the tire and just slowly bleed off air. So at least there's a chance for you to discover it after you've reached your destination, depending on how far you're going, and then just have it fixed within a few seconds, because the repairs for a tubeless tire are much less than that of a tubed tire. The other thing I liked about the Tekken 250 is the rising popularity of this bike within the Kenyan community. So, one thing that you should always do, especially as a beginner rider, is get a bike that is popular amongst the people within your area. Why do I say this? I say this because it's easier to find the parts that you need. It's easier to find a mechanic who would be able to sort yourself out anywhere. I'm not saying that the bike is so popular that you can get a mechanic for it everywhere and anywhere, but at least I could say that quite a number of people do have the motorcycle, so it's something that is quite common. Like, you'll always find that a lot of people doing adventures and all that within Kenya actually have the Tekken 250. It's a very popular bike. And then just finally, it's just generally a good looking bike. It actually looks more powerful than it actually is, and a lot of people tend to assume that the bike is such a powerful bike, it's really fast, but I mean, it's not even that fast. It's like I said, it's just a good beginner bike. It's not designed for speed, especially as an adventure bike. And I mean, it's a 250cc, so it's not as powerful as it looks. And I think for me that's quite a turn on. Like, Chinese bikes tend to actually look really, really good compared to the actual performance of it. And for me, that looks quite okay. And even with the looks, it already looks like a private bike. Yeah, so that's just an explanation as to why I chose motorcycling and why I chose the Tekken 250cc. Yeah, so that's all I have for today. Once again, thank you if you've reached till this point of the video, thank you so much for watching. Please do share, subscribe. The comment box is always open for you. Yeah, and feel free, add any suggestions, any critics. Is there something I could have done better? There's something that I'm doing very well, so I should continue, Yeah, but thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Alright, bye.